Hello, it's Devorah from Genesis Therapy and Coaching with Soul Life with Devorah, my weekly Facebook Live show every Wednesday at 11 a.m. East Coast time. We are here sharing about personal growth, wellness, emotions, and spirituality and inspiration. So I have got quite a teaching for you today, and I'm really, really glad that you are here with me. If you are here watching live, let me know that you're here, what interests you, where you're watching from, and if you're watching on the replay, then say hello and leave a comment, and we will dive into the internal story that is eating you alive, that is controlling what is going on in your life and driving the bus of your life in ways that you may not even know. And I am so excited to talk to you about this today because, in my mid-50s, I'm a therapist for 30 years. I've been a life coach for the last several years, and this information was brought to me by two of my business coaches, Alex Ortner and Pamela Bruner, on an amazing event that I was at in Atlanta a few weeks ago called Transform. For any of you transformational entrepreneurs, is an event every spring in Atlanta you need to check out. It was phenomenal. And thank you to Pamela and Alex, because this is where this came. I don't know if they made it up, but they were the ones who presented it. And this is really, really key stuff. Working as a therapist for the last 30 years, I have noticed, how could I not, that the traumas and messages and experiences of our past are certainly informing our present and opening up or limiting our future. And if you don't know what exactly is operating under there, under the surface in that unconscious, then you truly are giving over your life and your power to some part of yourself that's operating that you are not even aware of and can't change. So if you are somebody who is wondering, one, why you're in the same patterns again and again, two, why certain goals or desires just never seem to come to fruition, even if other people seem to do it, even if it seems logical that you should be able to do it, there's something blocking you and you don't know what it is. And three, if you are not necessarily in control of your emotions or your emotional reactions to things, that you say, whoa, that was a big reaction, or whoa, why did I have such a low reaction to that? That these could be three indications that your story is literally is a monster and is driving that bus for you. And I want to start today with a story. My dog Jasper has something to say today too. If you hear him in the background, he's enjoying life. So I want to share with you a very vulnerable story that I have come to realize really and truly just in the last month or two, how much this impacted me. So I'm going to go all the way back to when I was in sixth grade at age 12, which is the exact age of my son Josh right now. So I think it's really interesting that this was such a pivotal year for me in so many ways, and the beginning of pre-adolescence, and some really powerful negative beliefs got instilled in, sort of the beginnings, boy-girl interactions that happen with sixth graders. So this I will call my sixth grade recess trauma. I was a very talkative kid. If you know me at all, you know that I like to chat, and I certainly have a lot to say. So, here it was, sixth grade. I was in the lunchroom, and this was that edge, that era where all the girls, including me, were all kinds of boy crazy and were flirting and had crushes and leaving little valentines in desks on February 14th. And it was really a lot about the boys and that kind of interest and flirting that was emerging. So all through lunch, we had these long tables. I grew up in Spring Valley, New York, and my school was called El Dorado Elementary School. And we had these long tables. And I was sitting with my gaggle of girlfriends, and I was noticing that the boys were looking down at me, the whole group of them. From both sides of the table, they were sort of leaning in and looking at me and watching me. And I noticed, and I thought, ooh, that's interesting. I'm not usually getting stared at by the boys. And throughout lunch, I'm noticing this again and again and again. I'm getting a lot of attention at a distance from the boys. And I'm all kinds of excited and interested. What are they watching? Do I look pretty today? What is this? We finish lunch. We go out to recess. And we're outside in the playground. And throughout recess, the gaggle of boys are wherever I am, they're continuing to look at me and watch me. And by the end of recess, I am just elated. I am thinking I'm Miss Popularity, that the boy, Robert, who I had a crush on, probably was crushing on me and showing his friends. And I'm, flying high and walking on cloud nine. And we all line up to go back in after recess into class. And one of the boys was elected because I saw them sort of talking to each other. And one was elected. He comes over to me and taps me on the shoulder. And this is what he says. We have been watching you all through lunch and recess, and you haven't shut up for more than 3 seconds. And he started hysterically laughing and walked away, and all the boys were laughing. So where I'm thinking that I'm popular, what was actually happening, and who knows with sixth graders, if this was a little bit of flirting and a little bit of teasing, but for me, it was from the highest height in a place that I had never been with the boys to crashing down, humiliated and judged and laughed at. So I know for me that moment was one of those pinnacle moments, that we have in our life where we make a decision, where we make a vow, where a belief gets formed, right? When I do hypnotherapy with my clients, we go back in time. It's like finding the little bird seed that Hansel and Gretel had left to, find your way back. And we find our way back to those moments. This was a pivotal moment for me. Do you have a pivotal moment? I am sure that you do. You probably have many. If you've lived, longer than a few years, you do. So this moment for me was where one of those powerful beliefs of I am not lovable or I am not good enough. I'm not sure which of those got started right then and there, but I think it was probably I'm not lovable. Because here's this huge downfall from hugely lovable to being laughed at. And, that's a fall fast. That's a fall that happened quickly. It's like the top of the roller coaster. You go quickly down to the bottom. And this, my friends, is one of those 4 core beliefs. 2 of them, actually. I am not lovable. I am not good enough. The other 2 are I am helpless and I am not safe. So I want to give all 4 of them to you again. And every single person in the world has some combination of 1, 2, 3, or even some piece of all 4 of these. And I want you to listen with your heart open, not from that defensive place where you go, oh, no, not me, I'm all set. That's the veneer and the facade that I often put on. But I have come to realize even recently, even in just the last month or 2, since Pamela and Alex really laid out these 4 core stories, have I realized how much one part of me lives in the doubt about these things. Another part of me is incredibly confident and very skilled and great at the work I do and a wonderful, wonderful partner and mother and friend and therapist and coach and all the other things that I am and that I do. And inside are these little tiny beliefs. And for some people, they're big beliefs. In trauma, we call them little T traumas, like being laughed at in 6th grade by the boys, and big T trauma, where there might be a war or a death or violence or abuse or things that, truly are devastating events. And I want to put this 6th grade story into its proper context, of course. But this, for me, at age 12, was devastating. And what happens when this core story is operating and we have no idea that it's there, we are being controlled by come out like, I'm going to show you I'm good enough. The people who are doing the extreme sports, the people who are, really climbing that, that corporate ladder or that entrepreneurial success, running around and, being the director of this and volunteering for that. This could be a tremendous amount of overcompensation. And it can get in the way of you putting yourself out there or opening up to other things, because if that voice inside is saying, I'm not lovable or I'm not good enough, then that's going to have you decide or not decide to pursue something, right? You're going to go on that job interview. Are you going to ask that, that person out on a date? If you have that whispering inside, like, psst, don't apply for the job. They won't hire you. Or what? Are you kidding? Don't ask her out on a date. She's just going to toss you to the curb. You're not even going to try. So this is how those core stories can completely get in your way in your life. So let's go through them again. The first one, not necessarily any order. The first one, I am helpless. This can be the place where you see the activists. That can be the compensation. If I feel helpless, I'm going to go out there and advocate for everybody else. And I'm not saying this is all a bad thing. Activists, especially I'm a social worker. I totally get advocacy. And I think it's really great in a lot of ways. But if you're overcompensating with these ways of coping and you're not propelling yourself forward because this story is controlling you in a limited way, that's where you want to bring mindfulness into this and say, okay, I realize I'm operating from this place, and let me sort of dial it back and see if I can work on that core belief, which is the work that I do when I really help people by accessing the body, by accessing emotions and energy and spirit, to be able to go in and do what I say, like the Hansel and Gretel going back and finding their way with the birdseed. Let's do some psychic surgery and find out where that trauma or where that occurred, and undo that and unlock that so it's not happening in that same way again. So the I'm not lovable, which is the second one. The first one was I am helpless, will be the advocate and the truth teller out there in the world, the promotionalist for others and for other causes and other needs where other people and things are helpless. Number two, I am not lovable can be complete overcompensation with people pleasing. And this is something I see in my office and in my coaching calls on a daily basis. Out there pleasing, trying to do the right thing, going the nth degree, and sometimes overwhelming and exhausting yourself because, again, these are overcompensations when this belief or core story is operating. The third one is I am not lovable, which is, there goes the doorbell. Welcome to Facebook Live. So if you feel that I am, what was I just saying? I'm sorry. I am not lovable as a people pleaser. And if you are operating with the core story of, I lost my train of thought with the doorbell. Give me a second. I'm not good enough. Then you're going to do what I was saying earlier about overcompensating, overworking, overachieving. Jasper's loving that doorbell ringing. Sorry about that. And if you are feeling I am helpless, then you become overly controlling, which can be really amazing if you're very organized and you're very neat. There can be good things about all these things too. So I ask you, which of these core stories is operating? And are you aware of them? Are you ready to undo them if they're holding you back? And I want to just celebrate all the ways that these parts of you work really well. I am really high achieving. I get a lot done. There are great things about me on the flip side of this, I'm not good enough, right? Because, here I am talking to you. I launched an online business after being, an in-person therapist for 27 years. I had a vision of going out there in a bigger way. And so I have, confidence and inspiration to come out here and speak to you. And I'm also acutely aware that this other belief is in there. And there are times, when I'm preparing to come on to do a Facebook Live, not today. Today I was pretty energized, but there are some days where I feel like, I'm not going to be able to do this. No one's going to watch. And, this happens to all of us. We have the flip side, the two sides of that sword are, a positive and strength side. We call that the light, and the challenging side, which is the shadow, which can be holding you down. So if you are aware and working on what is operating in there, you have just absolutely freed yourself up to just take your life to the next level. And it's not always so easy to do that on your own, which is why, thank goodness, I have Alex and Pamela, my business coaches, my group business coaches, and I have Life by Jasmine Negraza, who's my amazing individual business coach, and so many people who have Maria Andros, whose business coaching program I was in last year. I can't do this alone. And I say over and over again, for those of you who know me, it is my mission to help you identify what are these core stories, what are the ways that are holding you back, and allow you to create this crazy, funky, unique life, your own vision, and bring it to its highest fruition so that you're not feeling stuck, so that you're not feeling like you're living from these negative core stories and not being able to get past. So I invite you to discover which of these 4 core stories are you operating with and to share them. I'm sharing mine right here, and it is absolutely no shame. We all have them. And I want to just propel you forward, release those blocks, and give you the opportunity to make the best of your story and these parts of yourself and your strength. and to really go for, the wellness and the career and the relationships and the spirituality that you are wanting, because these are all right in front of you in some way or another, even in the one step that you can take. And it could be that one step that you don't take that could lead you, down a very different path if you're being controlled by this story inside. So thank you for your patience and for your attention today. And I am just so pleased to have a forum to share this, because this is really life-changing stuff. And my mission is about doing life-changing stuff. That's my desire and my inspiration. So blessings to you. Next Wednesday at 11, I'm going to be in Montreal with my son, Josh. So wherever we are in Montreal, we're going to get on and do a Facebook Live together for Soul Life with DEVORAH. So join me every Wednesday, Eastern Standard Time at 11 for wellness, spirituality, and inspiration with Soul Life with DEVORAH. And I look forward to talking to you really soon. Bye-bye.